Welcome back from the break. I am Gabriel Fair. This is the Premier League preview show on Channel 1 TV. We are heavy on the Premier League match week 25. Just like I put it in my intro, you can join the conversation via the WhatsApp line. We'll be displaying on your screens. Let's hear from you, the Liverpool fans. They played Everton. Everton's last home game at the Goodison Park. Next season, they'll be playing at the Everton Stadium. That was a very good game over there. Now, I'll love to hear from the Liverpool fans. Speaking of that, I've got one in studio today, Emmanuel Nobo, to do the discussion with me. And of course, Yao Ejeminta. Yeah, he's a big fan of Robin Amorim. even though things are not going too well, but it's all good. Guys, just your initial thoughts. Before that, I hope you guys are doing good.
Oh, yeah, doing very well.
I think today is...
Oh, I'm doing very well. I'm doing very well.
Today is what? 14th February. So
Yeah,
happy Chocolate Day, happy Love Day. All the things you want to add to the red stuff, you can actually say it. But guys, just your initial thoughts on match week 24, just briefly. Yes, let me start off with you.
Match week 24. A lot to look forward to. Well, a lot that we witnessed last week. The previous week before the FA Cup weekend. I think things didn't really shake up much. I mean, you look at Manchester United still being inconsistent. You look at the fact that, Liverpool, we're still in good form. And, Chelsea kind of, they've continued on this, can I say, like they've plateaued kind of. Yeah, and so, nothing major, really, off the top of my head.
I think someone got beat 7-0.
Oh, yeah. AFC Bournemouth beating, Nottingham Forest beating Brighton. Yes, I think, that was the only standout moment because, I expected Nottingham Forest to beat Brighton because of the kind of experience they went through at the hands of AFC Bournemouth. I think it prepared them very well for that particular game. And I also looked at it from the standpoint that I don't think Brighton and Hove Albion per this season are as efficient in front of goal as Bournemouth have been this season. And so I expected Nottingham Forest to beat Brighton and Hove Albion, but I didn't expect 7-0. So I think, off the top of my head, that would be the standout moment in the round of 24 games.
Okay. Just after Jay, you're done with your submission, we'll look at the goal of the month nominees, some of the players who managed to get into that. But Jay, just quick thoughts on week 24.
Last weekend too was the Arsenal Manchester City game. It just compounded what we've been saying pretty much majority of this season, how poor City have been. And this time around, Arsenal scored 5 goals and none of them were from a set piece. So then we'll give some credit to them. But then with the news of Kai Havertz also getting injured, I think it slims down the attacking options to about 3 or 4. That works. I think it works all in all for Liverpool's good in the sense that Liverpool have been looking a bit not too convincing. I think over the past, let's say 4 or 5 games, they've managed to win certain games, but they've drawn some of them. But with Arsenal literally going out of firepower, I think it literally hands the league over to Liverpool. So.
I'm not surprised you're saying that.
But that's the truth.
Yeah, that's the truth, though. That's the truth. We'll get into match week 25 proper. But before we get into that, the fixtures, of course, we'll touch on the fixtures a bit later. But let's check out this video that has the goal of the month nominees, and then we'll come back and then build up to week 25. Really, really good goals from the month of January. Good goals, I would want to say. But guys, that went to David Brooks. He won the goal of the month. But apart from him, which one caught your attention?
I think Kulusevski.
Kulusevski. I like Ilman in the eyes goal too. Yeah,
but the Kulusevski one, how many players would be smart to do that?
To read the ball over the entire defense.
Because he realized that the keeper Pickford was out.
A lot of instead of just smashing it, he just went for the dink. It reminded me of that Ramirez goal against I think Barcelona.
In the Champions League.
The Chelsea Champions League. Yeah, that was a very good goal.
I used to play like that when I was active.
Okay.
Oh no, but
but it was a very good goal. I mean, the imagination to think of something like that, the idea, on the spot, and the technique to be able to pull it off, you have to give him props for that. But it's just that he got beat out by David Brooks, a better goal.
Yeah.
Because, like I always say, the degree of difficulty, because a ball is swung in.
The trajectory of the ball.
Yeah, the ball is swung in. You are coming to meet the ball. And for the most part, a lot of players can't keep that ball down. Yeah. They will just balloon it.
Yeah.
And they can't keep it under control. But he was able to shape his body in a way that it gave him that chance to be able to open his body up and caress the ball into the net. But because the ball had enough speed and velocity, so he didn't need to apply any kind of hard finish. All he needed to do was to guide it. And that's a very difficult thing to do when the ball is floated up in the air the way it was. And so for me, yeah, I think it's well deserved because the technique involved was very, very difficult. And he managed to pull it off. So, yeah.
Jay?
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Cliver too. Two similar finishes in two different games.
So Cliver appeared twice.
Yeah.
I think he seems to have found some very good form. He scored 2 hat-tricks so far this season. And he seems to be playing well. Probably some teams can look at him. He's been somewhat of a traveler. He's played in Rome.
Played for Roma, Leipzig, Valencia.
Maybe like he gets to settle down really properly.
Looks like this season he's found some stability and some form, coupled with how well Bournemouth are playing too. So that's
but I'd want to give a lot of props to Andoni Raiola for the job he's doing at this Bournemouth team. A lot of the players are really playing good. But, okay, let's get into match week 25. Let's check out the fixtures coming up this weekend. It's starting off on Friday. That's today at the Amex Stadium. It's Brighton taking on Chelsea at 8 p.m. These two sides met in the FA Cup 4th round, and Brighton were 2-1 winners in that competition. So they progressed to the 5th round, or the round of 16, you want to put it. Later tomorrow at the King Power Stadium, you have Leicester City taking on Arsenal, taking it to Villa. Aston Villa will take on Ipswich. Fulham up against Nottingham Forest. Manchester City and Newcastle United are in action. That should be a good game. Southampton will take on Bournemouth. West Ham United also in there with Brentford at 2 p.m. And then later we'll take you to the Selhurst Park. That's Crystal Palace taking on Everton. Then it wraps up on Sunday at Anfield. Liverpool up against Wolves. And then the big game for week 25 as Tottenham Hotspur up against Manchester United. They say we call it the Intebe clash, but we'll see how the two sides actually fare at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. That should be a good game. But let's start off the conversation. First off, we're touching on Chelsea's last game against West Ham United, and then we'll build up to the upcoming game against Brighton. Right, so that's Chelsea's last game in the Premier League before they lost to Brighton in the FA Cup. They get to play Brighton again, this time in the Premier League proper, match week 25. It's kicking off later tonight at 8 p.m. Jay, just start off this conversation with me on Chelsea's. Now the objective clearly for them is to finish in the top 4 and compete in the Champions League next season. Their head coach says that they're ahead of schedule in terms of where he expects Chelsea to be. Do you agree with him?
I think to a degree, I'll agree with him in the sense that for Chelsea, I do believe this season, if you ask me, was a season of stability.
Okay.
So a season to trim the squad, find out the players in that, is it 40-man squad or whatever it is, that fits his system. Then now build some cohesion with the team. Then from there, they can put in certain objectives like qualify for Champions League and all those things. I think with the Conference League, they have a very, very good chance of winning it. So that would be one trophy from Europe. But then, with how they started the season, I think up until the game week 18 or 19, they had lost just 2 games.
Yeah.
And that was to Manchester City. That was the first game of the season.
Yeah,
and
so
Liverpool.
they started capitulating in December.
Yeah, I think mid-December.
Very horrible run. I think they went about 4 games without a win.
Yes, and I think in the last 7, they've won just 1 or 2.
Yeah.
So, and that's just after the press conference where Enzo finally comes out to say they are not title contenders. Everything begins to go down. But this is to be expected. If you have a squad with a lot of young players, some of these inconsistent performances are bound to happen. Also coupled with the fact that this is the manager's first season, and this is more or less an entirely new squad he's trying to put together. And over time, over the course of the season, there have been things that everybody has been pointing out, like the goalkeeping situation. Sanchez hasn't been convincing. Over the entire course of this season, he's had 5 errors that have led to goals.
Yeah.
if you compare that to Arsenal as an entire team, they've had zero defensive actions that have led to go, or errors that have led to go. So it shows you that defensively also, they don't seem to have the perfect pair. They've had injuries. With James, he comes in one game, goes for 10, those kind of things. But I think credit to Enzo. They seem to be playing some good football. He seems to have finally found a way for Enzo and Caicedo to work. Cole Palmer seems to be liberated. But up front, Nicolas Jackson, just as Chelsea's form has dipped, his form has also dipped. I think in the last 5 or 6 games, he hasn't scored. Now he's injured. I don't know if he'll be available for this game. I doubt he won't be available.
He's likely out for about 4 weeks.
4 weeks. So that takes you to the end of March. And even before that, he wasn't scoring much. So for Chelsea, it looks like it's back again. Everything is on Cole Palmer's shoulder. And then in games where managers tend to find a tactic or a system to mark him out of the game, Chelsea suffers. Because the rest of the team is blowing hot and cold. Caicedo consistent, but he's not going to give you goals. He's more or less going to break the play and try to initiate attack. But once he releases the ball, those up front, Neto, hot and cold, Nkunku doesn't seem to. I think he wanted to leave or loan or something. Doesn't seem to be getting the look in. So for Chelsea, I'm not too worried based on just maybe Newcastle chasing them, Manchester City not consistent. So they might finish in 5th, and that might be good for them to get into the Champions League. But clearly, this Brighton game, just based on how Brighton dealt with them in the FA Cup, Brighton also not too convincing. But Chelsea, I think they need to put their house in order. Whether it's Sanchez or is it Jorgensen, none of them seem to be even elite level goalkeepers. If you
this weekend, the head coach Mariska said that Jorgensen going forward will be the number 1. So clearly means that he's dropped Sanchez.
He should have dropped Sanchez after game week 4. So if you ask me, but then for Chelsea, I think this season is let's say a dress rehearsal, get things, see how best they can fit their 100 million buys into the system, get them playing, and then they can build from there. But then it's clear that this team would need a proper goalkeeper and a proper striker to start with.
Okay.
Outside that, I do think that next season is going to be harder for them. If you look at how Newcastle and Forest are building up, they need to put their house in order. But for this game, I think Brighton have their upper hand.
Brighton to win?
No, I don't think Chelsea will win. I think Brighton have their upper hand.
Okay. Talk to me about what we should expect from Brighton. They've already beaten Chelsea in the FA Cup, but I'm pretty sure Chelsea's head coach Mariska will look at that game and pick up some lessons. In fact, that game had just 1 shot on target. I don't even know if it's a shot on target. The goal from Cole Palmer, that ricocheted off the goalkeeper and went. Chelsea were just abysmal up front.
Yeah, and it's likely to get worse because Maguire is not available for this game. Nicolas Jackson, as you've already mentioned, is not.
So they get to rely on Christopher
Nkunku, and it looks like he's not really the manager's
choice
favorite. And it looks like he doesn't have a lot of confidence on his part, to lead the line, to play the usual way he usually plays. And on top of that, looks like the manager doesn't have a lot of confidence in him. And so that's likely to bring about issues. So if you are looking at the possibility of having maybe Cole Palmer as a false 9, and if you have him as a false 9, who is the one going to be creating the chances for him to score? And if he's not the false 9, then who is going to come in? Are you going to have Jadon Sancho as the false 9 with Madueke and Pedro Neto starting on either wing? That's the problem because I don't see where the goals are coming from unless maybe Tosna Darabioyo gets to connect on a set piece or 2. That's the most likely source of goals other than Cole Palmer. And so that's where there's a problem. Aside that, I think they should be looking out for what Brighton and Hove Albion present or give them defensively, because in that FA Cup game, Brighton were able to take over that midfield with Carlos Baleba coming back into the fold. They looked a little bit more settled, a little bit more organized, and they were able to deal with that 50-50 challenges, win those 50-50 balls, and deal with Caicedo more or less. They neutralized him. He did a very good job neutralizing Caicedo. So if he can play in this game, I fancy Brighton and Hove chances of winning this match. I'm knowing very well that they can play the ball over the top and take advantage of Chelsea's defensive high line.
Yeah.
They can also pass the ball through Chelsea's midfield because Noni Madueke or Jadon Sancho, they are not dropping deep to help out defensively. Yeah. And even when they drop deep and they get to start an attack, unfortunately for Chelsea, you look at the fullback situation. If it's Malo Gusto, there's a problem. He's always hesitant a little bit attacking the way Reece James
would attack.
Because at the end of the day, you look at the threat from the Brighton Hove Albion wingers, Yankuba Minte, Simon Adingwe and company. All of them, they pose serious threats. So I think he's very mindful of that. And I witnessed that in that FA Cup game where consistently Noni Madueke was gesturing to Malo Gusto to move up a little bit.
Bump forward a bit.
Bump forward a little bit, create a little bit of an overlap. Because if he doesn't create that overlap or move a little bit forward, there's a big space between Madueke and Malo Gusto.
Yeah.
And that's where the Brighton Hove Albion midfielders consistently positioned themselves because they knew that Carlos Baleba pretty much neutralized Moises Caicedo.
Yeah.
And so you had Hinshelwood, all of these guys, Mitoma, because Mitoma was stationed in that spot. And so you had Hinshelwood consistently drifting towards that side. That created the overload, and they consistently took advantage of Malo Gusto's position. And so, yeah, they were able to attack Chelsea in different ways, and that brought about a lot of problems. And I wasn't surprised that they won that game.
Yeah.
And so, for me, I don't see Chelsea improving in any bit not because that the coach isn't good or they won't be able to watch tape and come up with a solution.
There are a lot of lapses he has to do.
It's just that the bodies that he has available, I don't think they will be able to get that job done because defensively they have issues.
Yeah.
They really have issues. One moment is Cole and Tosna Darabioyo. The next moment,
he's actually chopped and changed the starting 11 in every. I saw it start in every 4 games.
Yeah, and
they play, especially at the back.
And Coach Christopher Nimley always highlighted this issue with regards to Ten Hag and his difficulty at Man United.
Yeah, it was the same thing. Was
because of injuries and bad form. He consistently changed that back four over 25 times?
24, 26 different pairings.
Different combinations. Yeah. And Chelsea are going through that phase. Yeah. And once you do that, you don't have enough consistency, enough chemistry to be able to beat out those lapses in concentration. Yeah. And on top of that, your goalkeeper situation isn't also settled. So goalkeeping issues unsettled, defensive issues unsettled, forward issues unsettled. Yeah. So yeah, I'm giving it to Brighton.
So Brighton to win again. So Yao and Jay all tipping Brighton to win against Chelsea tonight. This is the Premier League preview show on Channel 1 TV. I am Gabi Affair. You can find me on Twitter on X at Gabi Milito. And also you can join the conversation by sharing your thoughts on what you think about your team's performance and the WhatsApp number displayed on your screens. We're talking about Liverpool. Their next game is against Wolves, and they felt hard done by the points dropped at the Goodison Park. And Slot was shown a red card. Also, Alexis McAllister. No, it was Curtis Jones, rather. Curtis Jones, rather. Not too happy with Abdoulaye Doucouré's celebration. But I mean, you can't tell Doucouré where to go and celebrate. That's his home ground. Jay, let me start off with you. Just quick thoughts on that game against Everton, and what do you think it will do for them heading into that game against Wolves? They are coming to face another side that I think are a bit unpredictable. You actually don't know what kind of Wolves team will turn up.
Yeah, I think for Liverpool, it gives them the perfect opportunity to respond after the FA Cup loss, and then should I see this is more like a loss because Liverpool up until Liverpool literally had the game wrapped up until all those things happened. I don't want to delve too much into the refereeing issue because there was a lot of questionable decisions on both sides, if you ask me. But for Liverpool, this was a poor game. They didn't offer much. I think up until the McAllister's goal, up until Salah's goal, Liverpool had 0 shots on target. So between the McAllister goal and then the Salah goal, Liverpool literally didn't threaten Everton much, and that's worrying. Yes, I get it's the occasion and everything, but if you are aiming to win the league, these are some of the games where you have to show that.
Yeah.
you are actually in to win the league. And for me, that was the worry. Yeah, with the FA Cup, you would expect them to win, but then it was weird. I mean, it was just a weird game. So for Liverpool, this is the perfect opportunity to respond. They are playing at home also, so you'd expect the crowd to be up. You'd expect the team themselves to find themselves, because now there's no bigger motivation to even chop up more points, knowing that Arsenal is more or less on one leg now.
Yeah.
And if you would ask me, on any other, based on how Manchester City have been playing over the past 4 or 5 years, and based on how Arsenal have just been halted, this is the best opportunity for Liverpool to win the league. So for them, this presents a very good opportunity. I think Wolves are just 2 points or so above the relegation zone, not consistent. This is your home ground. You have to win at all costs and put in. I think for now, we have about 14 games to end the season. Yep. It's not really about the performance now. It's about the results, and they'll need to get a convincing result against Wolves, if you ask me.
Is Arne Slot beginning to overthink with respect to the selections he put up? I say that because I just want to take you back to that loss against Plymouth Argyle, and then
he made 10 changes.
Yes, this game against Everton. I don't know what seems to be. I don't know what you've seen.
Oh well, I think that's the gift and the curse of playing in the league, having so many competitions.
Yeah.
Also, because you have to win your game, but also somewhere in some part of your brain have an eye or a mindset of what's next.
Eventually, you have to sacrifice.
What's next? So you have to make some moves that is not all in, because it's not just one game. You have to make moves that will serve the purpose immediately, and also in the midterm, and even pretty much the long term to the end of the season. And I understand why he made those changes against Plymouth Argyle.
You thought that he had one eye on the Everton game, because you look at that game against Plymouth.
Not really, not the Everton game specifically.
I think it's the league in total.
It's the stretch that they have coming. The Everton game was the first of 5 games that they will play across 15 days.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much one game per a game every 3 days.
Yeah, 3 or 4
and
days,
if you use all your best players, and he has used them a lot extensively this season, I think you're asking a little bit too much from them. And there's a likelihood that even if they don't get injured, succumb to any injuries or fatigue-related injuries or fatigue itself, we are heading into March. The FIFA international window is coming.
Yeah, it will come.
So
players will leave for their
if they build
countries.
up all this fatigue and stress and they leave for their countries, they leave to go play for their countries, there's a likelihood that they might just get injured. Because once you build up a lot of stress and you have to add extra stress, flying to Africa, flying to South America especially, to go play games in different weather conditions, there's a likelihood that you might get injured. And so I understand why he made those changes. My only problem was that he had to manage that situation better, because Mo Salah is not playing. He didn't even make the bench. Van Dijk didn't even make the bench. But
I think the only senior player on that bench was Darwin Núñez.
Yes, but when you have certain guys, you need to play them and kill the game off.
Okay, so start them ahead.
Start them.
But he started Diaz and Jota.
Yes, but in the midfield and the defensive areas,
there
were issues.
It was a bit light for me, Jackson.
So start your regular guys. Let them get the situation done. First half, get as many goals as possible. 3-0, 4-0. Shut the game down and take everybody off. That's how I would have done it. But he did it a different way and it backfired. I understand the rationale for making those changes, but it's just that I think he took it a little bit too far, and it backfired. But it happens. This one, look, I have this feeling like if you put a lie detector on Anslot, and most of these Liverpool players, Van Dijk, Mo Salah, they wouldn't care too much.
Yeah. That he exited?
Yeah, because it's the 4th round. Yeah. If it was, let's say, the semi-final, yes, it will hurt them. It will hurt them. But because it's the 4th round, yes, you don't want to lose. You don't want to lose. But it's just one of those things where, yes, we've lost. Okay, what's next? That kind of thing. I think it's just flashed out of their system, honestly. especially with that Merseyside derby going the way it did.
So just maybe boils down to priorities on the part of Arne Slot.
If you ask me,
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, because you look at one. I think you look at the squad he's got at the moment, and you look at his team playing in 4 competitions, and say which one am I closer in terms of winning the trophy.
Which one is more important?
And which one is more important?
I think that you're already in the final. Champions League,
you progress to the next
very
league.
well progressed. And the league, you are 50%.
It's yours to lose, more or less.
Yeah, 50% there. Yeah, you don't want to lose, but if you miss out on the FA Cup, big deal.
Because if you look at from 2000 till now, Liverpool have won just 3 FA Cups.
Yeah.
So Liverpool they're not heavy on the FA Cup if you ask me.
So I think in total
was a sacrifice worth
8 titles to that.
Yeah.
Well, because I
But
always say that
they're beating Wolves, I must say, because looking at the circumstances that have led to this particular game, they are definitely hammering them.
I think they'll respond.
Because they lost to
Liverpool to win.
Yeah, they lost to Plymouth Argyle. They drew with Everton. Controversial circumstances. Yeah, they're definitely venting all their frustration and anger on these guys.
Okay. Spurs are looking to do a league double over United for the first time. The last time they actually did that was back all the way 1989 to 90 season. That was when they actually did the league double over Manchester United, and that should be a good game. Spurs occupy 14th on the table, United are 13th. That is why we call it the Intebe clash, but it's all good. Let me start off with you, Yao. I don't even know where to start with the conversation. Let me just ask you that. What team or what are you expecting from United to do against Spurs?
Well, I expect them to be better. And I expect them to be better with their pass coordination, their attack build-up, and even, a little bit on defensive organization, particularly with set pieces. Consistently, Manchester United are always scrambling. Yeah, they're always scrambling all over the place when it comes to set pieces. And I say so because the last time that Man United played a game, it was, last 2 weeks Friday.
Yeah.
When they played against Leicester City in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
They haven't played a game for 1 week. Tomorrow, Sunday will be a weekend.
Exactly,
2 days.
Yes. A weekend, 2 days. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So, what that means is you've had enough time on the training ground. Proper rest to be able to go over and over and over Amorim's patented plays. So, I expect to see a better Man United because that's one of the issues that Amorim has raised ever since he took over the job, that you need time. They need time to play the way he wants his teams to play. And because he came in the middle of the season, there isn't much time. So it just comes in bits and pieces, where there are some instances where you see that there are some good passing play from the team, and they look a little bit like a Sporting Lisbon team. Then for the most part, it's just chaos, pretty much. So what that tells me is that they are still a work in progress, major work in progress. But at this point in time that you've had almost a week, almost a week, to prepare. No, more than a week. Yeah, almost 10 days? It's 9 days, 10 days to prepare for this game. Yeah, I expect to see way better. First of all, in terms of the results, in terms of the passing, and in terms of how they defend corner kicks, how they defend set pieces, pretty much. Especially when you're playing against another inconsistent team in Spurs that's going through some injuries, and their players are still some way out from coming back to join the fold. So those are my expectations for Man United. If they don't win this game, I'll be very surprised. If they don't play well, I'll be very surprised. It might sound unfair that I expect them to win the game and play well, but like I said, you've had quite a solid number of days off for you to prepare, for you to rest. So I expect that for Man United. Okay,
so United to win. Jay, just quick thoughts, and then we'll go for a break so that we can just zone into the next segment.
If you ask me, I don't expect this game to be a high quality game. If you ask me.
Oh,
honestly, it's 13 versus 14. Then
no,
they are.
I think that is very harsh.
Both teams are there for a reason.
Yeah.
For United, they seem to know how to play.
But one team is that bad than the other.
Oh, they are all bad. I mean,
No, but Spurs is really that bad than United.
Spurs is a yo-yo team. United tend to fill you with some hope when they play the big boys.
Yeah.
When they don't have to keep the ball, they don't have to build up play. They just need to sit and hit on the counter.
Hit the teams on the break.
Like against City, like against Liverpool. But then if you put them against Crystal Palace, where Crystal Palace is sitting deep and giving them space to play the ball,
they can't do.
That's when you realize the problem. For Spurs, you don't even know what lineup they are going to put out. One day people are injured, the other day they are not injured. You really don't know. So for me, I don't expect this game to be a high quality game. I expect there to be goals because both teams have leaky defenses. Just we saw in the highlights, Lisandro Martinez is injured. So it has to be between Euro, Delete, Maguire. It doesn't seem too convincing. So for me, maybe a draw, maybe a 2-2 or something of that nature. But I expect to see not proper defending. I expect to see teams being exposed in transition because of how poor these teams are. You know how Spurs is also going to set up. So for me, not a high quality game, but goals galore if you ask me.
For me, if you ask me, I think I'll be really disappointed if United don't win. You know why? Because I think Spurs will throw a lot of bodies up front. They'll keep playing the way they've been playing all season.
No, but Spurs seem to perform better against the bigger teams.
Well, but they'll take. Look, I won't be shocked if they take a 2-goal lead against United and still keep on playing expansive football.
But the other thing is that you see, if you look at the Carabao semi-final against Liverpool, I think the one at Anfield, they tried to play pragmatic, but it still didn't work. So if you ask Ant, you'll be like, okay, I tried it your way, it didn't work. My way is also not working. He will better stick to his way, which, well, I don't think it will guarantee him a trophy in his second season, but I think I favor Spurs a bit.
Okay.
I just favor Spurs a bit.
So Spurs to win for you, United to win for you?
Yes, United.
Okay, United to win for me too. I don't know what you think though, but you can just share your thoughts. And like I always keep saying, the game is on radio for you. So just in case on the weekend you're very busy driving. You know, today is Valentine's Day, so I know boys will be doing stuff. And people will get home late. So just catch up on the games on Radio 97.3. Today, Saturday and Sunday, you cannot miss. Let's take a second break. When we come back, we'll get into the most interesting conversation on this show. I'll tell you what that is, if it is actually your first time you watching this show. I am Gabi Affair. This is the Premier League preview show on Channel 1 TV. Back after this. Okay, so this is where we get to share our thoughts. I mean, I don't expect you to agree with whatever I would say or whatever I would say or whatever Jay would say, because that's his thoughts, and that's why we call it the debate. Today, what are we talking about? It's not about Liverpool, it's not about Chelsea, it's not about the players themselves. It's about those who take the decisions on the pitch, which sometimes they do get wrong. When they go watch the VAR, sometimes they still get confused and come and do all sorts of funny stuff. We're talking about the referees today, and we're asking if they are under so much pressure to sometimes actually take decisions. I'm talking about the English Premier League referees. I don't know what you think about that. The last game between Everton and Liverpool, Michael Oliver was the man who attracted all the headlines, because Arne Slot was not too happy with some officiating on the day, and then that attracted a red card from Michael Oliver. Let me start off with you. I mean, I don't think this conversation is actually new to you.
Yeah.
Because of the several inconsistencies of these referees in respect to the kind of decisions they take, though. Yeah. And you're asking if they're under so much pressure to sometimes take these decisions. I don't know what you think.
Oh, yeah, they are under a lot of pressure, because at the end of the day...
Even with the help of VAR?
Yes. And I think that has even heightened the level of pressure on them, because now we've seen what happens in the FA Cup without the VAR.
Yeah.
So in that situation, you can put it down to human error. But once you bring in the VAR and you still go ahead and have some mistakes in there, then you ask yourself, okay, then where is the room for the error? Because at the end of the day, we've given you help. So why are you still making mistakes? But I honestly believe it's just down to the way even the VAR is set up. So I'm not a big fan of the English Premier League version of the usage of the VAR. Yeah. I'm in support of the UEFA Champions League style, or the La Liga, the semi-automated.
Yeah.
So they draw a screen. It's a simple screen. If your body breaches the screen,
that's it. No long talks.
It's an offside. Nothing. We've seen the La Liga several games where a toe, the tip of a toe,
across the red line.
It breached the screen. It's an offside. It doesn't stand. It's that simple. But with the EPL, with the VAR in the EPL, you see a red line, you see a green line, you see a blue line. Offside. So if it's red, it's offside. If it's blue, you are onside. And if it's green, there's this thing they call benefit of doubt, where it's in between. So benefit of doubt. Once you bring in that benefit of doubt,
what's that supposed to mean?
You are bringing in room for interpretation, where the human behind the VAR machine
must now use his
discretion. And that's where the issues come in. Just use semi-automated system. If it breaches the screen, it breaches the screen. Then you have to look at the on-field issues, the 50-50 challenges and all that. I honestly believe this particular game, the Liverpool game, I think referees are under so much pressure. I think sometimes they should bring in more referees, because I feel like they are getting burnt out because there's so much pressure in the modern game. There's so many things to do and to get right that I think it just wears them out, because you have a certain set of referees who are being rotated the whole time, and every week they have to be on the field. So I think they get burnt out a little bit. And I'll give you an example. The Liverpool-Everton game, in the beginning or the first half, even the early portions of the second half, Michael Oliver's his scores were quite consistent. They were quite okay.
I think all his scores were questionable that entire game on both sides, if you ask me.
But at the end, then it got a little bit out of hand. Look at that tackle on Mo Salah when he was attacking Everton's goal. It was so clear that this is a foul, but the man waved it off.
Decided to
continue playing. That for me was just a little bit over the top, and it just showed that he looks a bit bent out. The pressure from the Arsenal fans, all Man United fans, all criticism, is too much. They need more referees in the system to be able to give these guys a little bit of a break. Because I see them and I see that like these guys, some of them are bent out, and it leads to some of these wrong calls being made. But at the end of the day, like I always say, some of the EPL referees also need to read the room. Read the room in the sense that, yes, we know these are the rules, and you need to apply them down to the letter.
But they won't.
But they do it. Sometimes they do it.
Yeah.
But you need to read the room. And I always use this example. 2010 World Cup, FIFA World Cup, the final. Spain versus Netherlands.
Yeah.
Everyone saw that kung fu kick Nigel de Jong delivered to Xabi Alonso's chest. That's a straightforward red card. But Howard Webb, who is, funny enough, an English referee, he read the room and noticed that this is the World Cup final. If you give him a red card, you've messed it up. He read the room, he delivered a yellow card. In that sense...
I don't even think he got booked, though.
Yeah.
I think
they gave him a yellow card.
I think he got a yellow card before, but something like that. But he didn't get sent off. That's the thing, because he read the room. Okay, in that situation, I've read the rules, I've delivered the punishment, but at the same time, I haven't messed up the game and messed up the occasion and made this game all about me. I think sometimes the EPL referees need to know this and find a perfect balance on ironing the towel. Okay. And I think that for me will get to
but
that.
Just quick thoughts. Yao's last statements in terms of reading the room, sometimes you find games ending and they're the ones dominating the headlines.
I think that's where the problem is, because now some of these EPL referees are beginning to, should I say, take center stage of the game rather than the game being what we are talking about the most. And for fatigue, I wouldn't agree with you, because some of these referees are going to referee in
for the
Emirates and all those kind of things before games.
So maybe you want to pay them better so that they don't go?
Well, for me, I just do think that, the offside bits, I would agree with it. The semi-automated one makes it very simple, but these are clear decisions and clear, should I say, errors and mistakes, especially if you look at the Liverpool
repeatedly.
Game. Most of the things that happened, Martin Oliver was in clear view of them. You look at the foul which led to the Everton goal.
Wait, the equalizer?
No, the first Everton goal. That was a clear dive. You look at Bradley should have been sent off. Idrissa Ganagay should have been sent off. The goal itself
should have been
there was a push on Konate. So on both sides, there are so many decisions. You take it back to even last season, Liverpool versus Man City.
Okay.
A stamp, for me, right? I mean, so I do think that some of these decisions, there's supposed to be no pressure on you because there's help.
Okay.
If you are not sure, the VAR will prompt you to look at it. But I do think sometimes these referees feel like, okay, I've made the decision and it stands by it, and they don't even want to go to VAR because they feel if they go to VAR, it means that they are not doing their job well.
Okay.
But I mean, it's about getting it right, because if you have a second opinion or a second chance to look at something, there's no way you should be making multiple mistakes.
Well, let's see how they fare in the subsequent match weeks. This is how we draw curtains on today's edition of the Premier League Preview Show on Channel 1 TV. Guys, thank you so much. Yeah, Jamie, Emmanuel J. Nubo, the production team, everyone helping us to do this, make it successful. I am Gabriel for back same time next week on this favorite TV station, Channel 1 TV. There's more on radio for you tonight. Take care and bye-bye.